Good morning. Good morning. It is 2:45 a.m. It's a Friday. I'm on my way to the gym. You know, there's a couple days that are real special to me to make sure that I get it in. I get it early. It's Sunday, Monday, Friday. Because Friday, we feel entitled. We feel entitled to the weekend. So part of that entitlement means that we can give it, we don't have to really kind of throttle down and, give it 100% of our effort. Friday is like time to transition. And I think that you could be deceived by the transition, which could also ultimately be a fake out to trying to get you to relax your guard and relax your position on the power move you're trying to make. And then Monday, well, obviously because you're coming out of the weekend and depending on what you had to do, you feel like maybe you were shorted, so you're not as encouraged to really go into that day with as much enthusiasm and energy as you would any other day out the week. But then again, once again, Monday, just like Friday, should always be the opportunity to really double down, because those are the days, the majority of the people that are trying to take your market share are in a mindset of relax or deserving or some type of feeling of entitlement. And then Sunday, obviously it's the day before Monday, so you think that is the day that you want to rest and relax from doing anything, but yet then there's church. And I was listening to something by T.D. Jakes, and he said something that really made a lot of sense. We hear it when we go to Wednesday service, and I'm not trying to say that I'm this or I'm that because I go to church. That's not even the type of conversation I like to have. Like, I do what I do, and I don't expect anybody to do anything other than what they're supposed to do. But he says, for people to show up at church on a Wednesday, that's a different type of individual. It really is, because the fact of the matter is, it's not mandate. It's not mandatory. Matter of fact, church isn't even mandatory, let alone going on Wednesday. Especially if you went on Sunday. You be like, God, I went on Sunday, I don't need to go on Wednesday. But you showed up anyways. So instead of going into that entitlement mentality that Monday's right around the corner, and if I go to church, then all I really had off was Saturday, then I got to go right back at it Monday. Where's my rest? Well, I beg to differ that when you're in God, you got a lot of rest, because He's probably the only one that's going to give you a peace of mind that surpasses any joint you can smoke, any liquor you can drink. He's going to give you anything that's going to surpass that. So I like to get up and do it a little bit better on those days. Run a little bit harder, work out a little bit harder, do a little bit extra reps. Show up a little bit early. Really show out on the days when most feel entitled to slow down. So I got to thinking about something this morning. And what I was thinking about is, because I go into the prison on Fridays, and I reached out to the minister today, and I asked him, I said, if my services are needed today, because we rotate, then I'm available. But I started thinking about what I would say to these men. And it went a little something like this. Can we say that we know each other if I don't know your last name? I know your first name, but let's say I don't know your last name. I don't know, at least what month you were born in. a favorite food. You know, if you have children, I don't know your children's name. Can I honestly, knowing that I'm missing some fundamental personal information, can I honestly say that I know you? Can I honestly say I have a relationship with you if these things about you are missing from my database to reference you as somebody that I know, a friend? And the reason why I started thinking about this is because people show up to church, and then some people don't show up to church. Some people, you know, spend their weekends or their Saturdays, they gone. They're not doing church, they're not doing anything, But and I'm not placing judgment. I'm asking a question. So at the end of what I'm saying, there's a question mark. How can you say you know God? How can you say you know a relationship with God? How do you develop a relationship with God? Now, mind you, every time I said something and I paused, there was an exclamation or there was a question mark. Because I'm asking a question. It's too easy for me to assume the answer. I'm asking a question. If you don't read his word, now if God communicates with you through his word, and if his spirit grows stronger in you as you get closer, you always have the spirit. I think everybody has spirit. I think even people who have demonic spirits in them, I think they have the spirit of God. I just think that they choose, or that they've been separated from God so long that the demonic voice speaks louder than the spiritual voice. The spiritual voice is very soft and very subtle. The demonic voice falls directly in line with what the flesh wants. So it's very loud and boisterous. And it agrees with almost everything that the body and the flesh wants to do. I don't want to go to church. I'm tired. Tomorrow's Monday. Great. I agree. I want to sleep with such and such. Great. I agree. I want to eat all this food and then complain about gaining all this weight. Great. That's exactly what I was thinking I'd like to do. So that spirit will almost always feel like a friendly spirit because it directly coincides with what the flesh wants, what the body wants, what the human nature wants, the very flawed human nature. Whereas the Spirit of God is in direct polar opposite to that. It doesn't want you to live like a hermit, but it understands that the biggest gift that you can get is not going to be here on earth. So what are you building up for? So again, I asked the question, how can you say that you know God if you don't even know his word? And his word is what allows you to build a relationship. Inside the Bible is his first name, last name, the name of his children, his favorite food, where he was born. You know, if you want to know something about somebody, you can ask them. If you don't pray, how are you talking to God? I'm just asking questions. If on Sunday, all the people who wish to build a relationship with God, and I'm not saying everybody go to church is saved, not by any means. Everybody got a different reason for why they show up at church. And let's be 100% honest. Even sometimes pastors have different reasons on why they show up at church. That's why it's important to make sure you're with somebody who is truly anointed. And how do you know they're anointed? Because the Spirit leads you in that direction. And you won't depart because the food that's being given is heavenly food. It's not like a restaurant where you sit down, you eat it, you pay a $100 tab on it, then you get up and leave. You feel bloated. You feel like you could have spent your money better. You know, if you ever go to a church and you start feeling like you got fast food instead of 5 courses, roll out. Spirit might not be there. That's okay. Even the devil can set up a church. Look at what they did in Jonestown. See what I'm saying? But how do you know you have a relationship with God? How can you have one? How can you have a relationship with me and you don't know me? I don't think we call those relationship. That's just knowledge of. But if you don't know anything personal about me, if you don't know anything that I like, anything that I want, how can you know me? And better yet, if everything that I promised to give my friends and those who love me was written down inside of a book, and I gave you the book and I said, read it, and you didn't read the book, how could you even know what I have for you? Question mark. I'm just asking questions. I'm just simply asking questions. Not making judgment. Not saying anybody's better than who. I mean, these are conversations. Listen, the true strength, the truest sign of growth, the truest sign of strength and growth is in the fact of being able to look in the mirror and have a real conversation with yourself. I'm just giving you the questions. It's up to you to go look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I? How can I? How can this really be a relationship? Or is God more of an acquaintance? Oh. And again, I'm not judging. Hey, that's fine. You want God to be an acquaintance? Great. Excellent. I wish the best for you. I really do. But what is it? You're telling people you love God, but do you know God? Do you really know God? And that, above and beyond anything else, to me is important. Now your question might be, why is having a relationship with God so important to you? I could answer that, but then the answer would be so long. I'd probably answer back with a question. Why isn't your relationship with God important enough to you? Why isn't it important enough that you learn His Word? Why isn't it important enough that you converse? Why isn't it enough that you pray? Why isn't it enough that you don't assemble yourself around the presence of other believers? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Like everything I'm asking is just a question mark. Because it's so easy for people to get on their high horse and get offended when they know they're not doing what they're supposed to do. That's the easiest. There's two things when a person, I figured out that there's two things that a person will do when they're wrong. They will get defensive and they'll get on their high horse. Soon as I see somebody get defensive, my indicator lights go off and say, you're at conflict with even what you just told me. Because people who are right don't have to argue their point. It is what it is. But if God is assembling I've heard people say that I don't need to go to church. I have church right here. But the word also says, do not forsake the assembly of other believers. It says where 2 or 3 gather. Well, how are you going to have church and you ain't in the assembly of? Yes, you can have church right then and there. But he says, I am there where 2 or 3 are gathered. You're one. And you don't even know if the person with you even knows God. I'm just asking a question. All this came to me as I was getting prepared. How can you say that you have a relationship with God if you don't even know what he says? If you don't know what he's promised? If you don't know what he's done? If you don't know what he's doing? If you don't know what he's promised? Do you have a relationship with God? I'm just asking the question.